Chapter 621, Fighting He Lulan. In the True Inheritance secluded domain, all of the true inheritances had giant sun's will in them. Otherwise, how could all these fated individuals succeed in taking these inheritances, especially those immortal goo? It was just like charging through rounds in 88 True Yang building.in every one of the rounds that had goo worms as rewards. These goo worms were all refined by giant sun's will in advance. When these goo masters succeed and obtain the goo worms, they are able to refine these goo worms instantly and keep them in their aperture because giant sun's will was purposely letting them have the goo. Because of this reason, as long as a goo master is willing to give his goo worm away to someone else, they can always create a phenomenon of instant refinement. Earlier, when giant sun's will was slumbering, the refinement of wild goo worms was extremely slow. When Fang Yuan first ventured into True Yang building, he made use of this loophole. Every true inheritance was governed by giant sun's will. The reason why the Luck Path Supreme True Inheritance did not fly towards Ma Hongyun earlier was due to this. But now the True Inheritance flew into Ma Hongyun's arms and made him its master. This was not Giant Sun's will's intention. What Giant Sun's will wanted was to control Ma Hongyun. Why would he allow him to grow stronger and become more uncontrollable? Thus, the truth was revealed. Within the Luck Path Supreme True Inheritance, there was no Giant Sun's will. Giant Sun's will retreated on his own. This allowed the Supreme True Inheritance to act on its own. Thereafter, the newly created Wild Goo will went towards Ma Hongyun. This created another question. Why would Giant Sun's will retreat for no reason? Fang Yuan thought about the second time he struck and was about to kill Ma Hongyun, but out of nowhere Giant Sun's will appeared. At this point, it was no longer a mystery. Fang Yuan used the third method, temporarily expelling Giant Sun's will out of True Yang building. Afterwards, he entered True Yang building and successfully convinced Tai by Yun Sheng to revive Dang Hun Mountain. After that he came back, attempting to control Imperial Court Blessed Land. During the second attempt when he tried to kill Ma Hongyun, he was obstructed by a sudden burst of Giant Sun's will. At that point, Fang Yuan was very confused, but now, he understood. This mysterious Giant Sun's will was pulled out of those true inheritances. Giant Sun's will was anxious at that time. In order to salvage the situation, he took this step. He almost succeeded by doing this, but unfortunately, Fang Yuan was too resolute. He directly faced off against him. Eventually, this forcefully extracted Giant Sun's will was left with a final small portion that controlled this round. This means the Luck Path Supreme True Inheritance was able to save Ma Hongyun because of me. If I did not expel Giant Sun's will out of the tower, if I did not face off against Giant Sun's will, why would this happen now? To think that this third attempt was thwarted by myself after all. Thinking so, Fang Yuan sighed deeply as his killing intent towards Ma Hongyun vanished without a trace. The current Ma Hongyun was protected by the Luck Path True Inheritance. As a mortal, it was impossible for Fang Yuan to break through this defense. Sigh. I told you to save him earlier. You refused to listen. In his mind, Mo Yao calmed down and sighed in pity. Her tone carried some grievance. If you had saved them, you would gain Ma Hongyun's recognition and become protected by the Luck Path True Inheritance, just like Zhao Linyun. The current Luck Path True Inheritance is a newborn wild will. It is like a baby without any internal defenses. If you are inside the Luck Path Inheritance, you will be able to learn about the details of this true inheritance. This is an immense opportunity, but you gave it up. Helping Ma Hongyun would result in benefits. Dealing with Ma Hongyun would result in Fang Yuan's current heavy injuries. Fang Yuan snickered. He already did it. There was not a bit of regret in his heart. He quickly retreated while healing his injuries, meanwhile replying to Mo Yao. Even if I cannot do anything to this Luck Path True Inheritance, do you think Giant Sun's will would do nothing? This Luck Path True Inheritance is one of the 3 supreme true inheritances inside the True Inheritance secluded domain. Why would Giant Sun's will allow it to acknowledge a new master like this? In Giant Sun's will's heart, it was not unacceptable to pass this Luck Path True Inheritance to Ma Hongyun. But Ma Hongyun's heart was with an otherworldly demon. That was a huge taboo. Giant Sun's will was a special will. When the main body first created it, he assigned a special meaning for it to do its best to slaughter any otherworldly demon it comes into contact with. Now that Zhao Lianyun was protected by the luck path true inheritance, if giant sons will wanted to kill this otherworldly demon, he would need to remove the luck path true inheritance's hindrance. Thus, the entire forest flew into a rage. Countless tree men were uprooted, encircling the luck path true inheritance. Large numbers of tree men were entangling with each other. All of their roots and vines were coiling around each other to form huge tree men. Each were at least 300 meters tall. Their aura was shocking to Fang Yuan, giant. Sons will put in all its effort in order to kill Zhao Lianyun. Fang Yuan managed to retreat successfully. Exterminating the otherworldly demon was Giant Sun's most important mission. With the appearance of the luck path true inheritance, his attention was drawn over. Fang Yuan was a threat that ranked much lower than them. Giant Sons also knew that he could do nothing to Fang Yuan now. Weighing the two sides, and because Giant Sons had limited strength, he decided to focus solely on dealing with the luck path true inheritance. Very soon, Fang Yuan got close to the place Tai Bai Yunsheng and He Lulan were fighting at. Tai Bai Yunsheng was suppressed, but He Lulan had no ability to claim victory either. Tai Bai Yunsheng was a healing Gu master and a flying master. The former allowed him to specialize in drawn-out battles, while the latter allowed him to escape like a slippery eel. He was hard to pin down. The two's battle had turned into a stalemate. The two fought from the sky to the ground. Their attacks were fierce, and the battle brought disaster to the nearby trees, causing the surroundings to be full of fallen trees and debris. "Senior brother Tai Bai, let me help you," Fang Yuan shouted. "Senior brother." These two words triggered He Lulan as he immediately thought of Central Continent. That was because in the 5 regions, the other 4 regions were overwhelmingly family-based inheritances. Only Central Continent was dominated by a sect-based system. He Lulan's eyes were staring wide as he screamed like a bear. "You are a scoundrel that had planned for a long time indeed. You two sect brothers have hidden yourselves deeply. Right now, since you are seeking your own death, I will grant you your wish." Saying this, he aimed at Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yunsheng and sent 4 punches at them. The fist chi burst out, transforming into a human strength phantom in midair, having He Lulan's appearance. The 4 fist shadows split up. One of them charged towards Tai Bai Yunsheng, while the other 3 went towards Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan was a mortal. Tai Bai Yunsheng was a Gu immortal. Targeting the weakest link was a common strategy. 3 human strength phantoms attacked Fang Yuan, and the last one was to prevent Tai Bai Yunsheng from reinforcing him. "Quickly retreat." Tai Bai Yunsheng was shocked. He gave a quick warning. He was very familiar with this strength path killer move's power. He had obtained a lot of defensive Gu worms in Hu immortal blessed land thanks to Fang Yuan's gift. But after battling for so long, Tai Bai Yunsheng's defensive Gu worms were mostly dead. He even suffered heavy injuries several times. It showed the power of He Lulan's strength path killer move. 3 human strength phantoms flew over with an imposing aura, whipping up a fierce wind. What a strong killer move. Even Mo Yao's will in his mind praised upon seeing this. "Be careful. He Lulan's strength path killer move definitely surpasses your 4-arm Earth King killer move." Fang Yuan snickered. He showed no fear, but instead oozed with battle intent, ready to fight. "Of course I won't use 4-arm Earth King, because I have an even stronger strength path killer move." Saying this, he paused for a while, before shouting, "Come, 6-arm Heavenly Zombie King." Bam! A formless aura burst out. The horrifying pressure flooded the surrounding area. Intense pain could be felt. Like surging waves, they attacked his heart. Fang Yuan, however, felt immeasurable pleasure. His body expanded rapidly. His skin lost its gloss and moisture, becoming dark and hard. His defense rose rapidly. In just a moment, he transformed into a 6-meter-tall giant. On his back, 6 huge monstrous arms grew out. The fingers were thick and scary, each having their own distinctive appearance. It made people feel fear upon seeing them. 3 human strength phantoms arrived before Fang Yuan. "Good timing," Fang Yuan muttered. Facing them head-on with no fear, as fists and legs clashed, they fought directly. Bam, bam, bam. Thunderous explosions occurred endlessly. Be it Fang Yuan or He Lulan's 3 human strength phantoms. They had great power, and each of their blows tore through the air. Tai Bai Yunsheng had a worried expression, but after watching for a few breaths' time, his eyes expanded. Fang Yuan was a mere mortal, but he could face off against 3 human-strength phantoms at once. The two were evenly matched, but the 3 human-strength phantoms had sentience. After failing to take him down, they started cooperating, pincer attacking Fang Yuan from his front, upper left corner, and lower right corner. "Be careful," Tai Bai Yunsheng shouted to warn him. He had previously suffered greatly due to this. Fang Yuan laughed heartily, displaying his grand demeanor. He had previously activated his killer move, growing 6 monstrous arms. With his own 2 arms, he had 8 arms. The 8 arms moved in a circular motion. The punches were executed like a fierce rain. It defended him tightly. He managed to completely block the 3 human-strength phantoms attacking from all directions without a single weak point. He actually blocked it, this killer move. He Lulan's heart jumped. His expression turned grim. Sigh, half an immortal's battle strength. This guy is a monster. Tai Bai Yunsheng saw this and sighed. He was surprised, and yet not surprised. Thinking of his master, everything could be explained. Thus, Tai Bai Yunsheng's heart was at ease. He could concentrate on dealing with the human-strength phantom fighting against him. He waved his sleeve, and countless lights flew out from it. Chainsaw wind blade, flame sword flash, azure blue water python, golden silk net. Up to 100 goo worms were activated at once. They gave off a dazzling rainbow light, resembling fireworks. The human strength phantom was covered by the smoke. Its speed became slower. Thus it immediately changed directions and shot out like lightning. But Tai Bai Yunsheng's attacks followed after it. It was unceasing that a fireworks-like display of attacks were unleashed endlessly. The human strength phantom had the ability to think. It knew how to fly in an arc, attempting to get close to Tai Bai Yunsheng. But Tai Bai Yunsheng also retreated at the same time. While his attacks showed no signs of slowing down, that he was a goo, immortal with near limitless primeval essence. If not for the fact that he had just become a goo immortal and had not made any accumulations, resulting in a low quantity of goo worms, he would have hundreds and thousands of goo worms. Once used together, they would create a terrifying attack. Human strength phantom could block most of the attacks, but under the flurry of attacks, it continued to be weakened, and the phantom was turning lighter and more transparent. But He Lulan's motive had been achieved. Tai Bai Yunsheng did not have a strong attacking method. He could only weaken the human strength phantom slowly. He was old and wise, but because he was vigilant and had never charged ahead courageous, it was difficult for him to be an effective reinforcement for Fang Yuan. This was because of his nature. Otherwise, back then, he would not have chosen the as before time path inheritance from the 3 immortal inheritances. However, even though He Lulan achieved his goals in this battle, he was unable to be happy. That was because he realized Fang Yuan did not need reinforcements. Over there, Fang Yuan was fighting 3 human strength phantoms at once. Both sides used attacks to counter attacks. The 6-armed Heavenly Zombie King's defense was truly astounding. Fang Yuan got more ferocious as he fought. His punches and kicks were lively, and their speed was increasing. In the end, his fist shadows turned into a black afterimage from his sheer speed. The 3 human strength phantoms were expended greatly in the battle. Bam, bam, bam. 3 explosions occurred. The 3 human strength phantoms could not sustain themselves anymore and were smashed to bits, turning into fist chi and vanishing. He Lulan's pupils shrunk, but the battle intent in his heart surged like raging tides. Interesting. This killer move is very powerful. It is almost on par with my killer move. But most importantly, he has such rich battle experience. His physical combat skills can be said to be at a master's level. If it were others, they might not be able to unleash the power of this killer move to such an extent. He Lulan licked his lips. His eyes were shining with ruthlessness and excitement. The earlier attack was not his full strength. He was only probing. The battle with Tai Bai Yunsheng was very annoying, because Tai Bai Yunsheng was escaping most of the time, while He Lulan could not catch up to him. Thus he could not use any of his strength. Now that this Fang Yuan, who was a tough opponent, appeared, his battle intent naturally surged. After destroying 3 human strength phantoms, Fang Yuan did not attack rashly, but instead floated in the same spot. The two were about 1,000 steps away, and their vicious gazes were colliding. Stop fighting. Come over here and help. At this time, He Lulan heard Giant Sun's will's instructions. But, old ancestor, He Lulan hesitated. His battle intent was wavering. Giant Sun immortal venerable status in his heart was still very high. This was not about personality, but because he had been influenced to feel the pride of his bloodline since he was young. This was a significant element in He Lulan's self-worth. Forget about them. Killing the otherworldly demon and taking back the luck path true inheritance is most important. Giant Sun's will replied quickly. This is the only record of this luck path true inheritance that I left behind in the entire world. Even in longevity heaven, I did not leave behind any details regarding it. I am about to open the entrance to the true inheritance secluded domain. You will go and help push this luck path true inheritance into the secluded domain. This round was already controlled by Giant Sun's will. The tree men filled the area like a sea. However, even though Giant Sun's will had the ability to break apart the luck path true inheritance by force, he could not do so. Firstly, it took too much time. That could lead to unexpected consequences. Secondly, breaking apart the luck path true inheritance was the same as destroying the supreme true inheritance. Chapter 622. Grasping the biggest flaw. The situation in 88 True Young building twisted and turned with no end in sight. Once the invincible being dominating the entire world, the ruler of an era, the rank 9 immortal venerable Giant Sun. The terrifying will that he had specially left behind to take charge of 88 True Young building. The winner of the last Imperial Court contest, the current tribe leader of a super force, He tribe. Possessing the great strength true martial physique of the 10 extreme physiques. He Lulan. Standing tall above the center of northern plains as countless years of change were experienced, and yet imprisoned for hundreds of thousands of years, the land spirit Frost Jade Peacock, a living legend, helping the injured for almost all his life. His benevolence and his name renowned far and wide, owning a Gu Immortal inheritance, advancing to a rank 6 Gu Immortal, possessing 2 mysterious immortal Gu, Tai Bai Yunxing, as well as the owner of Spring Autumn Cicada, ranked 7th amongst the top 10 mystical Gu, the owner of Hu Immortal Blessed Land, immortal who has possession of multiple immortal Gu, a reborn 500-year-old demon, Gu Fang Yuan, favored by rank 8 fortune rivaling Heaven Gu. A Gu immortal in Fang Yuan's previous life who had successively inherited Giant Sun's inheritance and an opportunity left behind by thieving Heaven Demon Venerable. Becoming a great hero of Northern Plains who resisted the invasion of Central Continent, Ma Hong Yun. Viewed as an otherworldly demon by Giant Sun's will, Ma Hong Yun's wife in Fang Yuan's previous life who became a wisdom path Gu immortal and provided innumerable amount of assistance to her husband, the legendary woman Zhao Lianyun. And also, the former rank 7 Gu immortal, a refinement path grandmaster, the 36th generation fairy of Spirit Affinity House, Mo Yao who had schemed against 88 True Young building, the mysterious will she left behind following her death. All these existences had their own thoughts with their respective goals. And on this platform of the collapsing Imperial Court Blessed Land, they collided and contended with each other. They had their own advantages, abilities, and also had their respective weaknesses and flaws. These were all individuals overflowing with talents. They were elites or heroes of their generations. They were either proficient in scheming and strategizing, being master tacticians, or had immense strength or absurd luck. The intense stimulation of life and death, the enticement of enormous benefits, caused these existences to perform to their full strength. Using all their abilities and trump cards, perhaps betting it all and risking everything in a single moment, or strategizing to control the situation. Thus, the state of affairs became clear from time to time, while turning indistinct at the next moment. They had contended till now, but the situation was still chaotic. Only Frost Jade Peacock was pulled out of the game, while the others could tilt the whole set of circumstances with their every move and were not existences that could be underestimated in their influence to the final outcome. Now, the main part of Giant Sun's will had been forced out of 88 True Young building for the moment by Fang Yuan's trump card, suffering the intense assaults of the heavenly tribulation and earthly calamity. Giant Sun's will was the most powerful existence among those present. On one hand, his main portion tried to return to 88 True Young building, and on the other, he took the risk of drawing out the subwills from true inheritances to seize back the control of the round. and then wholeheartedly tried to eliminate the otherworldly demon Zhao Lian Yun. Ma Hong Yun and Zhao Lian Yun had become the masters of imperial court-blessed land by some twist of fate. They were also being protected by the luck path true inheritance and were safe for the moment. Fang Yuan and Tai Baiyun Xing had made a temporary alliance, engaging in a round of probing confrontation with He Lulan. He Lulan's battle intent soared violently, and he was just about to fight Fang Yuan head-on. When Giant Sunswell asked him to leave and deal with Ma Hong Yun to take back the luck path true inheritance, He Lulan hesitated, but chose to listen to Giant Sunswell in the end. I will let you guys off for the moment. He glared at Fang Yuan before turning around and leaving quickly. Fang Yuan looked on as He Lulan left, floating in the sky without giving chase. Huff huff. Tai Baiyun Sheng let out a breath of turbid air, flying towards Fang Yuan. He might be a goo immortal, but he only specialized in healing and lacked large numbers of mortal goo. His battle strength compared to ordinary goo immortals still had a great discrepancy. Through a prolonged battle, he had slowly worn down that human strength phantom to death. He Lulan is going to deal with Ma Hong Yun to retrieve the luck path true inheritance. Should we intervene in this? Mo Yao's will immediately suggested. This luck path true inheritance was a supreme hidden treasure left behind by Giant Sun Immortal Venerable. Back then, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable used it as part of his journey in becoming the ruler of an era, invincible within the world. This luck path true inheritance held extremely large temptation to any goo master. Fang Yuan's gaze slightly flickered, but he did not move, instead turning his sight to look at his left. Not far from him, a whirlwind was forming. Careful. He Lulan's fish chi can still condense back even after being destroyed. Tai Baiyun Xing warned. Fang Yuan snorted, and with one step, appeared before the hurricane, punching it. Boom. A muffled sound rang out and the fish chi was scattered again. The first aura was mostly dissipated, but the remaining fish chi still persisted in condensing back. But this quantity was rather small and was not able to condense into form. This strength path killer move. Fang Yuan's expression was heavy. Strength path phantoms were the long-range attacking method of strength path. However, this was the first time Fang Yuan had seen human strength phantoms possessing such spirituality. This seemed to be an innovation of which no records existed in all the goo master history Fang Yuan knew of. It could be even called as He Lulan's strength path phantom. More importantly, this He Lulan's strength path phantom could condense back even after being destroyed. This gave the feeling of a never-ending source of harassment. He Lulan has certainly not used his full strength. If he can attack with 20 human strength phantoms at the same time, and the remaining fish chi can condense again, that power would be terrifying. If he can send out 30 human strength phantoms, then this strength path killer move can absolutely contend with your 6-arm heavenly zombie king. Mo Yao's will evaluated with a grave tone. What killer move is this? Do you have any impressions of it? Fang Yuan asked. Mo Yao's will slowly shook her head. I am not a strength path goo immortal. This killer move also greatly involves soul path and chi path. In addition, it has other pivotal mechanics. It should be a modern innovation as it is greatly different from ancient styles. I am guessing that this is an innovation of the current generation. 6-arm heavenly zombie king was researched by Fang Yuan and perfected by Mo Yao. But there were no lack of geniuses in this world. It was not just Fang Yuan alone who could innovate a strength path killer move. Of course, Fang Yuan specialized in blood path in his previous life, and had only cultivated strength path on the side. Treemen flocked one after the other, forming a majestic green wave that attempted to drown Ma Hong Yun and Zhao Lian Yun. However, Giant Sun's luck path through inheritance was like a giant golden egg that firmly protected the two. Giant Sun's will was concerned about the consequences of his actions. He truly wanted to kill the otherworldly demon Zhao Lian Yun, but also wanted to protect this unique existence that was Giant Sun's luck path true inheritance. When he saw He Lulan near, he hurriedly transmitted his voice. I will open the passage to true inheritance secluded domain. Help me push the luck path true inheritance into it. He Lulan nodded. His whole body shook as he punched out with both his fists. Fish chi surged out violently. Boom, boom, boom. Muffled explosions rang out in the air nonstop, the fish chi condensing one after another into He Lulan's strength path phantoms. 10, 20, 30, 40. Fang Yuan's pupils could not help but shrink upon seeing this. Tai Baiyun Xing's expression turned pale, revealing intense fear in his eyes. 40 of He Lulan's strength path phantoms moved down together and surrounded the luck path true inheritance in just a moment. A dark crack slowly appeared in the air above the luck path true inheritance. The crack enlarged till it formed a large and round passage. This deep, dark passage was directly linked to true inheritance secluded domain. Strength path phantoms shouted together before actually lifting Giant Sun's true inheritance slightly. The surrounding tree men also moved their large hands to help. The python-like green vines coiled around together to assist in this. Giant Sun's true inheritance erupted with an intense and dazzling light. The tree men melted like snow. The coiling vines could not even last for 2 breaths before being destroyed completely. Strength path phantoms also continued to crumble but condensed back a short while after. He Lulan stood at the outer periphery. He was like an endless source of strength, striking out with large numbers of strength path phantoms one after another. Under his effort, Giant Sun's true inheritance slowly left the ground. At the same time, the round passage in the air also erupted with an intense force of suction. Like a giant mouth attempting to take back Giant Sun's true inheritance into its belly. He can actually form so many strength path phantoms simultaneously. What kind of killer move is this? Tai Baiyun Sheng cried out involuntarily at this astonishing sight. Mo Yao's will also said to Fang Yuan, your strength path killer move is specialized for close combat. He Lulan's killer move, however, is the exact opposite of yours, specializing in long-range combat. This killer move is equally matched with your 6-arm Heavenly Zombie King. But in He Lulan's hands, the strength it can erupt with far surpasses yours by several times. He Lulan was the possessor of great strength true martial physique of the 10 extreme physiques, and Fang Yuan was not. In the legends, Gu masters who had great strength true martial physique not only had immense strength, their stamina would also never run out. At the same time, their self-recovery ability was also extremely astonishing. Any strength path killer move would erupt with strength that far surpassed their usual strength under the hands of great strength true martial physique. What should we do now? Tai Baiyun Sheng stood beside Fang Yuan, fixing his gaze at the contest of strength between He Lulan and Giant Sun's true inheritance. He continued with a regretful tone. This is a supreme true inheritance. Giant Sun's will is taking it back to true inheritance secluded domain. Unfortunately, He Lulan is there, so we cannot get a share of the action. His tone contained the meaning of not being able to contend with He Lulan. This was not surprising. Tai Baiyun Sheng had a passive nature. A wise man looks after his own hide. He would not take extreme measures unless forced into a corner. Fang Yuan looked at Tai Baiyun Sheng and smiled. What to do? He asked and answered himself. Of course we go to true inheritance secluded domain. Tai Baiyun Sheng was surprised. True inheritance secluded domain? Mo Yao's will shook before reacting, almost slapping her own thigh at the sudden realization. Right. There is no more of Giant Sun's will remaining in true inheritance secluded domain. Those true inheritances have become masterless objects. Previously, these true inheritances contained Giant Sun's will, thus one could only obtain the qualifications for the true inheritances by using an owner token. But it was different now. Giant Sun's will had moved away all the subwills. Young Wild will grew soon after in the true inheritances, and they only needed to be manipulated appropriately to refine them easily. But you don't have much time. Giant Sun's main will outside the tower is going to return soon. You will only be able to choose one true inheritance in this time. Mo Yao's will reminded, Fang Yuan, you must quickly consider which inheritance you are going to choose. Tai Baiyun Sheng also realized this and asked another crucial question. This round is already controlled by Giant Sun's will. How do we enter true inheritance secluded domain? He had not even finished speaking when Fang Yuan took out fixed immortal travel immortal goo. Tai Baiyun Sheng had held this immortal goo for safekeeping before, thus he was not surprised, but his gaze turned serious as he looked at Fang Yuan. If I am not wrong, fixed immortal travel can only carry one person, right? You are right. Fang Yuan nodded. So open up your immortal aperture and let me in. I will send you the image of true inheritance secluded domain through thoughts transmission. Tai Baiyun Sheng suddenly realized. I almost forgot that I am a Gu Immortal. The immortal aperture of rank 6 and rank 7 Gu Immortals was called a Blessed Land, Imperial Court Blessed Land, Langya Blessed Land, and Hu Immortal Blessed Land were immortal apertures. They had vast space and were akin to a small world. Tai Baiyun Sheng's Tai Bai Blessed Land was naturally not an exception. Fang Yuan lent fixed immortal travel to Tai Baiyun Sheng and entered his immortal aperture, then sent his thoughts that recorded the image of true inheritance secluded domain. Tai Baiyun Sheng activated fixed immortal travel. Giant Sun's will had no spare energy to stop him and could only let him go to true inheritance secluded domain one step earlier. Within the true inheritance secluded domain was a scene of chaos. The Dozens of true inheritances were ruled by new wild wills and were like headless chickens, flying around chaotically. From time to time, they collided with each other, letting out sparks and causing unceasing wear and tear. Mo felt great heartache at this scene. Make your choice quickly. These true inheritances are destroying each other. If the situation gets worse, even if you can get an inheritance, it might have already lost its essence. Fang Yuan did not have much time left and could only pick one true inheritance. He had already made a plan for this. He said in a deep voice, Mo Yao, I need your help. Speak quickly. Point me the location of the final supreme true inheritance. Mo Yao was stumped at Fang Yuan's words. Soon, her eyes and mouth opened wide. Her mind was greatly shaken. 88 True Young building contained 3 supreme true inheritances. Mo Yao was extremely clear about them, and she had introduced them to Fang Yuan when he had charged into true inheritance secluded domain before. The first supreme true inheritance was rank 9 Wisdom Gu. The second supreme true inheritance was Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's Luck Path inheritance. The third supreme true inheritance was 88 True Young building itself. That is to say, the one who obtains this true inheritance could control 88 True Young building. Why did I not think of it? Mo Yao mumbled in a daze. Giant Suns will had transferred all the sub-wills away. Now is the best time to seize the authority over 88 True Young building. Right. Giant Suns will had neglected this in fulfilling his desire to deal with Zhao Lianyun, thus exposing his greatest flaw, and giving us the opportunity to turn around this crisis. Fang Yuan's eyes shone with a sharp brilliance. He looked at his surroundings, the fire of ambition soaring ever so high in his heart. He acutely grasped the flaw in the enemy. Win or lose, it all depended on this move. As long as he could take 88 True Young building for himself, he would have the territorial advantage. By that time, even if Giant Sun's main will were to be more formidable, he would only be a despondent dog locked out of the house, standing at the door and barking helplessly. Chapter 623, Refining 88 True Young Building. Fang Yuan and Tai Baiyunxing moved forward in the True Inheritance Secluded Domain. In the dark True Inheritance Secluded Domain, there was no more of the order and serenity from before, because Giant Suns will have been extracted fully. The dozens of true inheritances here were ownerless inheritances. Wild wills formed in them within a short time. These true inheritances were like shooting stars of all colors, flying extremely quickly in this dark space. They weaved a beautiful huge net with their trails. Swoosh! Another true inheritance flew quickly past Fang Yuan's left side. This true inheritance was only the size of a bowl. It was giving off a silvery light and was very dazzling. It almost touched Fang Yuan's body as it flew past. The silvery light shone on Fang Yuan and Tai Baiyunxing's faces. Their expressions were quite ugly. Their gazes were full of anxiety and nervousness. These true inheritances were powerful and had special abilities. Most of them had immortal Gu among the Gu worms in them. Be it Fang Yuan or Tai Baiyunxing, they could not endure an attack from them, especially now, when the true inheritances were guided by the newly birthed wills, who knew when they would display their immortal Gu abilities. This could not be predicted. Moving around this place was like walking on a tightrope above death. These true inheritances are getting faster. Have you found the target yet? Tai Baiyunxing shouted at Fang Yuan. His voice was trembling. Soon. Fang Yuan answered. He also felt the pressure intensifying. Even though he was a flying master and had exceptional skill, the pressure now is tremendous. Bam! Just at this moment, there was a loud explosion. Oh no, quickly dodge. In Fang Yuan's mind, Mo Yao reminded, not far away, 2 true inheritances collided. From the intense sounds produced by them, several Gu worms were destroyed on the spot. Tai Baiyunxing had yet to feel pity at this, when his expression paled. The collision changed the 2 true inheritances' directions. One of them, which was bright yellow, flew towards them. During the moment of crisis, Tai Baiyunxing quickly activated all of his defensive Gu, setting up 100 lines of defense around him. And Fang Yuan, the incoming true inheritance came with a strong force, destroying all of the defensive lines without any difficulty. But during this period, Tai Baiyunxing managed to earn some precious time for him and Fang Yuan to escape. The shrill sound almost burst their eardrums as the meteor-like true inheritance flew away with a blazing tail. In the blink of an eye, it was more than 10,000 steps away from the 2 of them. My defense Gu were almost all destroyed. Tai Baiyunxing's expression was pale. Where there is life, there is hope. We should retreat. Tai Baiyunxing had the intention of leaving already. Fang Yuan frowned. He was very clear on Tai Baiyunxing's nature. The older one was, the more cowardly they become. Tai Bai Yunsheng lacked the enthusiasm and spirit to take risks now. It was fine to ask him to heal others, but he was not an expert at putting himself into life and death situations. Just as Fang Yuan was thinking of what to say to spur Tai Bai Yunsheng's fighting spirit, Imoya screamed in his mind, "Quickly look, just above you guys, we found it." Fang Yuan's mind became sharp. He quickly looked up. Indeed, a supreme true inheritance was flying slowly. The speed of the light lump was not fast. It was a stark contrast to the other ordinary true inheritances. It was the size of an adult person, glowing with an orange and red light, giving off the feeling of warmth. The surrounding true inheritances, when they got close to it, took detours and changed their directions. Between goo worms, there was absolute authority when they had a difference of 2 ranks. The authority of a supreme true inheritance was not something ordinary or unparalleled true inheritances could offend. Go. Fang Yuan was overjoyed. He shouted at Tai Bai Yunshin before flying over. Hold on. All of you hold on. Yi Lui Sang's eyes were red. He shouted loudly as he activated his goo worms, emitting fierce flames. The flames burned, quickly spreading. The golden horn leopard group that was attacking them had good resistance to high temperature. But Yi Lui Sang's flames used the power of an immortal goo. The golden horn leopard group quickly melted in the flames, turning into puddles of golden mud. Seeing this, the surrounding goo masters cheered loudly. Lord Yi Lui Sang is incredible. Thankfully Lord is here, otherwise we would be dead, mate. Yi Lui Sang breathed roughly. He was exasperated, helpless and angry. Damn it, what is going on? First, Tai Bai Yunshin became an immortal. Next, Imperial Court blessed land was facing destruction, ravaged by the once-in-10 years blizzard. Now even 88 True Young building has come into the picture. I thought we could leave the trap, but the building's round suddenly triggered. If I knew this, I would not have entered the last Imperial Court contest. Yi Lui Sang was scolding in his heart. Not just him. Ming Jie, Luo Bojun, Gu Guolong and the other survivors were all kept in the dark. They did not know the truth. These people were all Northern Plains Gu masters who had entered Imperial Court blessed land. After Imperial Court blessed land was torn with several holes, the once-in-10 years blizzard entered and wreaked havoc, killing almost all the mortals. Large numbers of low-rank Gu masters were injured or dead. But later, Giant Sun's wills found some time, despite being busy, to save some of the blood-related descendants. Yi Lui Sang and the others were placed into the Golden Leopard round. When Fang Yuan activated the final trump card and sent Giant Sun's will out of 88 True Young building temporarily, without Giant Sun's will controlling the round, the large Golden Horn Leopard group started attacking Yi Lui Sang and the others fiercely. Outside 88 True Young building, the golden sand-like Giant Sun's will was covered the building like a thick layer of armor. Meanwhile, the terrifying heavenly tribulation and earthly calamity had combined into one. Fusing to connect heaven and earth, it was pure white like snow, like a giant cocoon, enveloping the entire 88 True Young building and Giant Sun's will in it. Outside the cocoon, wild winds blew, sharp blades made of ice were flying around everywhere. Inside the cocoon, lightning flashed, and the snow poured like a storm. Crack! A snow-white lightning flash was formed abruptly, in the shape of a trident. The strange lightning descended from heaven, stabbing into Giant Sun's will. Snow War Tribulation Lightning. Giant Sun's will howled. This attack destroyed a large portion of Giant Sun's will. There was a huge injury appearing on the golden sand-like armor. This Snow War Tribulation Lightning had amazing strength. It was extraordinary. Even Gu immortals would be moved when they see it, because it was one of the publicly recognized top 10 catastrophes. Just this hit alone destroyed countless numbers of Giant Sun's thoughts. But Giant Sun's will was left behind by an immortal venerable. Its foundation was immensely thick. The will that was like a golden sand armor quickly repaired itself. But other than the Snow War Tribulation Lightning, there were also Flying Needle Rain, Explosive Thunder Hail, Cruel Wind Scythe and others. These did not exist earlier. They were formed from Tai Bai Yunsheng's Heavenly Tribulation Chaotic Lightning Balls and Earthly Calamity Restraining Smoke, fusing with the once-in-10 years blizzard. Heavenly tribulations and earthly calamities continued to rain down, carrying the intense rage of heaven and earth. Giant Sun's will resisted them desperately. His losses were great. Soon, very soon, in just several minutes, I will be able to break free of this obstacle and enter 88 True Young building again. You actually dared to expel me from the building and keep me outside. I will tear your tendons and bones out. I will grind you to ashes. I will make you suffer a fate worse than death. Giant Sun's will had already transcended anger when he thought of Fang Yuan. inside 88 True Young building, there was still a small portion of Giant Sun's will. Right now, he was controlling the Tree Men round, manipulating them and trying to push Giant Sun's inheritance back to the true inheritance secluded domain. Softly, don't be too rough, this is the only one in the world. Giant Sun's will paid close attention to He Lulan. He Lulan was extremely irritated, but he could only reduce his strength. This was the one and only record of this luck path true inheritance that Giant Sun Immortal Venerable had left behind. Once it was destroyed, it would be irrecoverable. Precisely because of this consideration, Ma Hongyun and Zhao Lianyun, who were inside the luck path true inheritance, were able to survive. The two of them were hugging each other closely. They had no choice but to watch the giant light ball that was the luck path true inheritance slowly push towards the round tunnel. Even though they were famous and powerful characters in Fang Yuan's previous life, both Gu immortals, right now, they were still too weak. One was a newly advanced rank 3 Gu master, while the other was a mortal who had not even started her cultivation journey. Tai Bai Yunxing and that Chang Shanin have gone missing. Success was at hand, as He Lulan could not control it anymore, saying, ever since Fang Yuan vanished, he had felt a vague sense of unease. Forget about them. In just a moment my main will is going to return. By then, even if 2 or 3 more Gu immortals come, they cannot do anything. The important thing now is to get this luck path true inheritance into the true inheritance secluded domain. Most luck path Gu worms are formless and ethereal. Only that place can contain these Gu worms. Giant Sun's will's voice resounded in He Lulan's ears. He Lulan nodded, shouting lowly as he mustered his strength. At once, he unleashed 50 strength path phantoms. These strength path phantoms had superior wisdom. They quickly rushed towards the luck path true inheritance. Enduring the blazing light, they pushed. The luck path true inheritance was finally completely pushed into the true inheritance secluded domain by this force. The tunnel closed. Success. Giant Sun's will breathed out a deep sigh. Almost at the same time, the giant main will charged into the building. Giant Sun's will, which was controlling the Tree Men round, fused with the main will, sharing their memories together. Fang Yuan, where are you? The main will screamed loudly with deep hatred. Greetings to old ancestor. He Lulan bowed deeply, showing great joy. The main will was like a small sun. It shone brightly and was very domineering. It could be said that He Lulan had helped Giant Sun's will in many ways. Giant Sun's will was just about to praise him, but suddenly shouted in anger, you are all courting death. You dare to refine my 88 True Young building. Inside Giant Sun's secluded domain, Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yunxing stretched out their palms, pressing the true inheritance light lump forcefully. Their expressions were pale and their bodies were shivering. Quickly. Just one last bit, and we would succeed. In his mind, Mo Yao's will shouted anxiously. Chapter 624, Shameless and Devious Scoundrel. In true inheritance secluded domain, Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yunxing were firmly holding a supreme true inheritance from its left and right, thanks to the guidance of Mo Yao's will along with Giant Sun's will being emptied out. Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yunxing were able to get close to the true inheritance. The most crucial point was there was no primeval energy in true inheritance secluded domain. Wild Gu worms could absorb primeval energy directly from the surrounding air for their use. Without primeval energy, most Gu worms would lose their threat. This was also one of the reasons Giant Sun's will was trying to push Giant Sun's luck path true inheritance back into true inheritance secluded domain. The supreme true inheritance had been letting out a warm orange light before, but in Fang Yuan's and Tai Bai Yunxing's hands, it let out 3 colors. Silver-white light occupied the bulk of it, caused by the refinement from Tai Bai Yunxing's Gu immortal will. The second color was gray from Fang Yuan. The third was black light from Mo Yao. Silver-white light was the most abundant. Gray came second and black was in the least amount. 88 True Young building was a rank 8 immortal Gu house, formed from extremely large numbers of Gu worms. Fang Yuan's group had to use all their strength to quickly refine 88 True Young building. It could be said, whether it was Fang Yuan or Tai Bai Yunxing, they had both spent all their strength, just a little left, just a little more effort. Tai Bai Yunxing anxiously yelled. The main portion of Giant Sun's will had returned to True Young building. The 3 had heard its furious roar. The round light lump with the size of an adult had only a final trace of orange left on it. As long as this light was eroded, 88 True Young building would completely change its master and the situation would greatly incline towards Fang Yuan's side. However, Giant Sun's will furiously made his move at this final moment. The will left by an immortal venerable could not be looked down upon. and this will was the original master of 88 True Young building. Thus, in just an instant, the final trace of orange was replaced by dazzling golden light. Fang Yuan's group immediately felt gloomy at this color. This color meant that giant Sun's will had refined the final remaining trace of the supreme true inheritance's will. Juniors, you are really audacious. You dare to go after my 88 True Young building. I will make you pay the most terrible price in the world. From within the light lump, a roar from Giant Sun's will sounded out. Quick! There is only a meager trace of Giant Sun's will. We need to move together and destroy it. Spare no energy. Fang Yuan shouted. Tai Baiyunxing's forehead was filled with sweat. He did not need any reminder to be aware of the utmost importance of this matter. The two gave a deep shout and moved together, mobilizing their wills to form a huge army of thoughts that unfolded a fierce assault towards the last trace of will. Giant Sun's will's roar stopped abruptly as he poured all his energy in defending against the assault. Its main body was enormous, but it had only refined a trace of the true inheritance and controlled the smallest portion. Even if it possessed majestic strength that far surpassed the allied thought's army of Fang Yuan and Tai Baiyunxing, it did not have the room to display its might, and the power it could let out was an insignificant fraction compared to that of the main body. The newborn wild will that had been born just recently in the supreme true inheritance had already been thoroughly extinguished. The tranquil true inheritance light lump became an unconventional battlefield that pitted Fang Yuan, Tai Baiyunxing, and Giant Sun's will. Contests between wills involved profound techniques and skill, but be it Fang Yuan or Tai Baiyunxing, they were not truly soul path go masters. Fang Yuan could be considered to have started it just recently, while Tai Baiyunxing was truly a novice, relying on nothing more than the instinct to move his thoughts. As for Giant Sun Immortal Venerable, his soul path attainment was definitely out of this world. Unfortunately, the one confronting the enemy was only the special will he had left behind. Thus, in this battle of wills, there were no fancy skills. It was only a head-on collision, a bloody fight. After a dozen or so breaths later, Fang Yuan and Tai Baiyunxing's wills suffered disastrous losses. The quantity of Giant Sun's will might be small, not even filling 1% of the true inheritance light lump, but it stood lofty and majestic. The main Giant Sun's will was vast. Its power flowed without pause. Every bit of loss it suffered was immediately replenished. By contrast, Fang Yuan's group might have occupied the advantage of vast quantity, but they did not have high battle strength and were soon lacking the fuel to continue. Damn it. We can't expel Giant Sun's will. The situation has gone south. Tai Baiyunxing was deathly pale. The combined attack earlier was their most powerful method, but it showed no effect. Giant Sun's will was laughing heartily. Fang Yuan and the group lacked the energy to continue the attack. And after Giant Sun's will had resisted their most intense attacks, he began to expand his territory. In the true inheritance light lump, the part occupied by golden light began to expand bit by bit. Fang Yuan and Tai Baiyunxing looked on with wide eyes. They staked all their energy, but were only able to slow down Giant Sun's will's speed of expansion. Giant Sun's will was truly terrifying, even when it was schemed against repeatedly before, and most of its will was outside. Suffering the deathly attacks from the heavenly tribulation and earthly calamity, the remaining part was still a tall, mountain-like barrier to Fang Yuan's group. This enormous difference in their strengths was like a gulf between heaven and earth. We are going to lose. Tai Baiyunxing's tone was grave. This is just a will Giant Sun Immortal Venerable left behind. I really can't imagine how powerful he was when alive. Damn it, only one last step was remaining. Mo Yao's will grabbed her head, her voice mixed with a tone of sobbing and extreme regret. If only we were a step earlier, as long as we had 3 breaths of time, we would have succeeded. Never mind. Fang Yuan gnashed his teeth, his expression heavy. He had not given up yet, speaking with ruthless intent. In this situation, we are unable to get our hands on 88 True Young building. We cannot exterminate Giant Sun's will. Sooner or later it will swallow the space we occupy. But we have yet to lose. Don't forget, there are still the heavenly tribulations and earthly calamities outside True Young building. Are you saying? Tai Baiyunxing's expression changed, blurting out. His nature was benevolent and passive, but he was not stupid, and immediately realized when Fang Yuan mentioned it. That's right. If I can't obtain it, no one else should think about getting it. Since I can't get 88 True Young building, I would rather destroy it. A ruthless glint shone in Fang Yuan's eyes. His tone was so cold it could make the listener shiver. But this is 88 True Young building. Mo Yao resounded, but her tone was wavering. She had no choice but to accept this was the best method to escape their predicament. Giant sons will finally stormed into true inheritance secluded domain. You two tiny ants, you actually forced me to this extent. You scheming scoundrels, your good days have come to an end. Your sins are so great that even death would be letting you off cheaply. I will give you a punishment worse than death. I will peel off your skin, pull your tendons and let blood flow. I will burn your souls in flames and let you taste incomparable suffering for all eternity. The golden will roared like a furious sea and whipped up huge waves with it. Schemed upon time and time again by Fang Yuan, suffering the unrestrained bombardment of the calamities. Giant Sun's will's fury had already reached the summit, swearing to kill Fang Yuan. The main culprit, compared to the golden wave, Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yunxing were as small as ants. The flying true inheritances were swallowed by the golden wave, resulting in splashes, but they stopped moving soon after. Giant Sons had once again taken control of these inheritances. However, most of the goo worms required primeval essence or immortal essence to be activated, and just Giant Sons could not activate them. At present, most of 88 True Young building was controlled by Fang Yuan's group. As long as they did not let Giant Sons obtain Giant Sons immortal essence, these goo worms could not be used. Start. Fang Yuan gave a soft shout, his gaze flashing with sharp intent. Giant Sun's will's powerful approach also dispelled Tai Bai Yunxing's hesitation. He was already completely tied to Fang Yuan's side and could only choose to forcibly advance together. 88 True Young building originally shone with an aurora, but with the actions of Fang Yuan's group, the aurora rapidly dimmed until it dissipated. The furious golden sea suddenly stilled. The next moment, Giant Sun's will's furious roar reverberated. Bastards! You dared to make 88 True Young building stop its operation. You damn scoundrels, you damn devious, shameless scoundrels. 88 True Yang building might have had wild will before, but it had just been born, thus it had still automatically operated as normal. However, Fang Yuan's group had refined most of 88 True Young building, and they forcibly made it stop its operations. Even the strongest fort would find it hard to resist an internal collapse. Although 88 True Young building had not collapsed, its operations had stopped, and just its shell had no might. Without any might, how could it resist the terrifying heavenly tribulations and earthly calamities? Fang Yuan's group could neglect 88 True Young building. In any case, they would not be able to obtain 88 True Young building if this situation progressed. However, Giant Sun's could not neglect it. This was an inheritance from Giant Sun Immortal Venerable, left behind for the benefits of his descendants. It must not be destroyed. Giant Sun's was left behind by the Immortal Venerable to manage 88 True Young building. How could it just watch as the True Young building was destroyed? Just you wait. The golden sea of will swiftly retreated. The vast will of Giant Sun surged out of the tower like water, forming a golden armor as a defense around it. Giant Sun's had no choice but to suffer the ravaging bombardment of the heavenly tribulations and earthly calamities to protect the weak 88 True Young building. However, it still left behind a portion of will which surged towards Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yunxing like a furious river. Fang Yuan, however, let out a breath of turbid air, compared to the majestic furious sea from before. This will might be strong, but they could deal with it, albeit with difficulty. Fang Yuan reluctantly took out a goo from his pocket. It was flying bear phantom goo. Fang Yuan's will moved and threw the goo casually. The flying bear phantom goo flew forward, blossoming with beautiful white light. The white light dissipated and a giant flying bear protected Fang Yuan and Tai Bai Yunxing, obstructing the river of will. Damn it! Flying bear phantom goo. Giant Sun's cursed. Flying bear phantom goo was rather special. It was an immortal goo, but it could be activated with just one's mind, without requiring immortal essence. Refining it was difficult, and feeding it was not easy, requiring the fresh flesh of the desolate beast flying bear. Fortunately, Fang Yuan possessed two immortal blessed land and could feed this immortal goo with the help of treasure yellow heaven. Even so, he had to pay an enormous price. Train an army for 1,000 days to use it in one fight. Now, it was time for Flying Bear Phantom Goo to show its worth. Chapter 625, Remaining Trump Card. The Flying Bear Phantom's battle strength. Almost not at the level of the desolate beast Flying Bear, it had at least half immortal battle strength. Most importantly, it might look bulky and slow, but it was very agile. The river of Giant Suns swirled to its left and right, attempting to get past the Flying Bear Phantom to directly attack Fang Yuan and the others, obtaining victory. But he was still obstructed by the Flying Bear Phantom. The flying bear phantom, even without Fang Yuan's manipulation, had some intelligence and was quite crafty. It could battle entirely alone. Swoosh! The fat and large bear paw slammed down, carrying the sound of the wind with it. Bam! The golden sand-like giant sun's-will was smashed into bits by the bear paw, turning into golden dust as it dissolved in the air. But this was just a subsidiary. The golden river that was giant sun's-will was like a huge python coiling around the flying bear phantom tightly. At the same time, countless subsidiaries were created, attacking many areas of the flying bear phantom. The two were fighting closely. At a stalemate, neither could do anything to the other party. Giant sun's-will could fuse and split at will. It had the freedom to change forms. Flying bear phantom could not take it down. But giant sun's-will was tangled by the flying bear phantom and could not deal with the most crucial person, Fang Yuan. Giant sun's-will had inherited a portion of the immortal venerable's wisdom. It knew from the situation after some thinking. To kill Fang Yuan, it needed to use at least half of the river's will, but the remaining half was not the flying bear phantom's match. If he attacked forcefully, it was like he was handing the initiative over. If Fang Yuan retreated with the true inheritance light lump and dragged for time, after flying bear phantom destroys the giant sun's-will that was left fighting it, the situation would become dangerous. He had already suffered a loss from splitting up earlier when he drew his will out of the true inheritance secluded domain. At that time, Fang Yuan had used the glass owner token to challenge a small portion of giant sun's-will resolutely. In the end, both suffered injuries and eventually led to giant sun's-will taking a huge risk and paying a huge price, but only managing to regain control of the tree-min round. Fang Yuan's expression was grim. He sustained the true inheritance light lump, slowing giant sun's-will's expansion progress while observing the situation and current battle state. If giant sun's-will would split up again, that would be great. Unfortunately, it will never make the same mistake twice. Fang Yuan observed for a while, seeing giant sun's-will fighting the flying bear phantom so intensely, but yet it did not think of splitting up. Fang Yuan sighed in his heart. The opponent was not making a mistake. Thus Fang Yuan's predicament was getting more dangerous. Right now, most of giant sun's-will was outside the building enduring the heavenly tribulation and earthly calamity to protect 88 True Yang building. Only two portions were left now. A portion was fighting with flying bear phantom. The other was competing with Fang Yuan and Tai Baiyun Xing, trying to refine the 88 True Yang building. The supreme true inheritance that represented 88 True Yang building's ownership only had a trace of golden color originally, but now this trace had grown to palm size. Fang Yuan and Tai Baiyun Xing had already squeezed out all of their potentials. They were shivering and their expressions were pale. They were sweating profusely but could not resist the expansion of giant sun's-will's refinement. Giant sun's-will was simply too great. Tai Baiyun Xing felt like he was facing a valley and mountain during the resistance. He was helpless and felt hopelessness. Even Fang Yuan, a demonic head with an iron will, felt a strong sense of dejection growing in his heart at this point. If he allowed the situation to develop like this, one day, when giant sun's-will successfully expands, he would regain control of 88 True Yang building. By then, Fang Yuan and the others would be dead meat. He had to do something. Despite so, Fang Yuan had already been too deeply involved in this supreme true inheritance. He could not do anything else. His greatest battle strength now was the flying bear phantom goo, but it was already in use. Tai Baiyun Xing was a temporary alliance mate that he obtained through swindling, but similar to Fang Yuan, he was already here engaging with giant sun's-will. He could not do anything else. It could be said that other than the spring-autumn cicada, Fang Yuan had used all of his trump cards. Don't tell me, I really have to use the spring-autumn cicada this time? A thought flashed in Fang Yuan's mind. But immediately after, he rejected it. Spring-autumn cicada is not an immortal goo that has a guaranteed success rate. I could fail. The black death bad luck on me right now is so thick. Once I self-detonate, my remaining consciousness would enter the spring-autumn cicada and travel upstream in the river of time. There is a high chance of meeting my end. My chances are probably lower than 1 out of 10. How could he resolve this situation? Sigh. Fang Yuan, we have no hope of success. Let's retreat. Using fixed immortal travel, we can return to your blessed land. Tai Baiyun Xing suggested. Should he really retreat? At this point, if he gave in, giant sun's-will would immediately regain control of 88 True Yang building. By then, through his obstruction, would fixed immortal travel goo still activate successfully? Even if he succeeded, would this satisfy him? Fang Yuan was indignant. He had planned this for so long. He schemed so hard, victory was almost in sight. An immense fortune and benefit was right before him. He was just one step away, just one tiny step. I am really indignant. Wait. Fang Yuan's expression changed. He thought of Ma Yuan. I have no trump cards, but I can make use of this chess piece. Inspiration flashed in his mind as Fang Yuan had no more hesitations. He flapped his wings and flew up with the supreme true inheritance. Where are we going? Tai Baiyunsheng asked quickly. Just follow me. Fang Yuan replied curtly. Fixed immortal travel goo was in his possession and was refined by him, even if Tai Baiyunsheng wanted to retreat. Without Fang Yuan's cooperation, he could not escape. Don't think of running away. The river-like giant suns will growled, splitting up and forming back into one entity again, passing the flying bear phantom and charging towards Fang Yuan and Tai Baiyunsheng. The flying bear phantom reacted quickly. It followed after them. Fang Yuan snickered, changing his direction. After moving in many directions, Flying Bear Phantom returned to Fang Yuan's side. Fang Yuan fled while battling, as the two sides fought and stopped many times. Sometimes, the river-like giant Sunswell was in front. Sometimes, Fang Yuan took detours, using the Flying Bear Phantom to fight back. The road was filled with shocks but no real danger, although there were true inheritances of all sizes flying around chaotically. Because of the supreme true inheritance's aura, none got close. Using Flying Bear Phantom as a shield, the river-like giant Sunswell could not stop Fang Yuan's movement. He could only slow him down, but Fang Yuan's circumstances were the same. He and Tai Baiyunsheng could not do anything to the portion of giant Sunswell that was refining the 88 True Yang building. In the contest of will, Fang Yuan and Tai Baiyunsheng were heavily suppressed. The golden light was expanding steadily. The two were bound to lose eventually. So you are here. When Fang Yuan saw the luck path true inheritance in his vision, he laughed loudly. What are you trying to do? The river-like giant Sunswell felt something amiss. He screamed out in panic. Tai Baiyunsheng looked at Fang Yuan with similar confusion. Fang Yuan laughed heartily. Tell me, what will happen when two supreme true inheritances collide? The color on Tai Baiyunsheng's face changed. Fang Yuan's insanity made his heart jump. But thinking about it, he realized this was an amazing and brilliant plan. He and Fang Yuan were unable to turn back now. The true inheritance light lump in their hands were extremely troublesome. If they let go, they would die. But if they did not, they would die sooner or later. But if the two supreme true inheritances collided, the results would be unthinkable. The consequences were so severe even giant Sunswell lost his composure. You, don't come over. Ma Hongyun shouted. Zhao Lianyun was tightly held in his arms. But on this stage, the two of them were simply the weakest. If not for their extreme luck, they would have been grinded to dust long ago during the intense battles. Under the influence of luck and coincidences, the luck path supreme true inheritance became their guardian angel. But it had been pushed into the true inheritance secluded domain. After entering the true inheritance secluded domain, the threat of the luck path true inheritance hit rock bottom. It was almost a guaranteed success for Giant Sunswell to deal with the otherworldly demon. If not for Giant Sunswell being careful about protecting the luck path true inheritance, and was forced by Fang Yuan, thus he could not leave and had to deal with him, he would have dealt with Ma and Zhao long ago. Ma Hongyun was safe and sound here. In a way, it was all thanks to Fang Yuan and Tai Baiyunsheng. But now, Fang Yuan was dragging the supreme true inheritance and rushed here on his own. What is he trying to do? Zhao Lianyun's body was shuddering. Through the translucent barrier, she was frantic and could see Fang Yuan's cold smile. No, you cannot do this. Quickly stop it. The river-like giant Sunswell was shouting insanely from behind him. He was anxious. Once these two supreme true inheritances collide, they would definitely suffer great damages together. By that time, not only would the last remaining luck path true inheritance get damaged or even destroyed, 88 True Young building would even suffer immense damage that would be hard to imagine. The river-like giant Sunswell underwent intense thoughts. All of the thoughts that formed its will started self-detonating. The golden sand like-will in the shape of a river burst out with an eye-piercing light. His battle strength surged by at least half. Flying Bear Phantom growled angrily, but was suppressed thoroughly. Fang Yuan's brows were tightly locked. The situation was very dangerous. He had to put a portion of his concentration on the Flying Bear Phantom. Manipulating it to battle personally. 500 years of battle experience was nothing to be scoffed at. Under her manipulation, Flying Bear Phantom moved more agilely. It ignored the injuries on it and blocked the river-like giant Sunswell completely in the end. Fang Yuan, You are courting death. You want to deal with Fang Yuan, but do not forget the overwhelming power of fortune rivaling heaven goo that he has. As long as you carry ill intent towards him, your luck will decrease drastically. Even if you have half a mortal battle strength and is able to resist it temporarily, how long can you last? The river-like giant Sunswill saw that he could not break through and started shouting. Fang Yuan, Giant Sunswill is absolutely right. You need to be very careful. Mo Yaozwill also said. Fang Yuan snorted, without a bit of hesitation in his heart. Seeking fortune amidst danger, to Fang Yuan, only by emerging victorious amidst chaos could he have a chance of survival. Seeing that the two supreme true inheritances were less than 1,000 steps away from each other, at this moment, there were ripples in the air, as dozens of figures were transported into the true inheritance secluded domain. They appeared ahead of Fang Yuan's flying route. They were almost all familiar faces. Yi Lui sang, Gu Guolong, Bien Si Xian. The leader was a brawny and muscular man. With hammer-like fists, he laughed ruthlessly towards Fang Yuan. So you are called Fang Yuan. Old ancestor giant sun has already exposed both of your crimes to the outside world. Your schemes have been exposed. It is all over. Your life will be over here. Who else was it but He Lu Lan? Tai Baiyunxing's expression changed abruptly. He could not free himself now as he was using all his strength to resist Giant Sunswill, who was refining the supreme true inheritance. The appearance of He Lu Lan and the others was simply too devastating. At the final juncture, this was akin to a fatal blow. Ha ha ha. The river-like Giant Sunswill laughed loudly behind them. You are all just in time. He praised He Lu Lan and the others fervently. This was definitely the act of the main will who took some time to inform and mobilize this bunch of reinforcements. If this was during normal times, He Lu Lan and the others contained battle strength that was insignificant in Giant Sunswill's eyes. But at this time and place, they became a life-saving chess piece. They were the best bit in toppling the balance between the two sides. Fang Yuan, Tai Baiyunxing, you are all dead, mate. The river-like Giant Sunswill growled, slowing down and attacking. The initiative was grasped by Giant Sunswill's side once again. We lost. Tai Baiyunxing heaved a long sigh, turning over to look at Fang Yuan, mustering his spirit. Junior brother, enter my aperture, we will retreat. I have immortal essence, and you have fixed immortal travel. Now that Giant Sunswill is being troubled by the heavenly tribulation and earthly calamity, we have to retreat now before it is too late. Fang Yuan, however, shook his head. It is already too late. Once we let go, 88 True Young building will fall into the control of Giant Sunswill. This building has the ability to suck in immortal goo, and the range extends to the whole of Northern Plains. Even if we use fixed immortal travel, there is a high chance of failing in the end. Of course I know this. Tai Baiyunxing's tone was anxious, but we can only take a risk in order to fight for that slim chance of success. If we drag any longer and lose this last opportunity, we would not even have this slim chance of success left. Fang Yuan's gaze was flickering in hesitation. He looked at the supreme true inheritance in his hand once again. In the true inheritance light lump, the golden dazzling light had occupied a third of the light lump's capacity and was expanding at an increasing speed. Fang Yuan breathed in deeply. I did not think that we will still get to this point. Sigh, if not for the circumstances, I would not want to do this. Junior brother, you still have a method left? Tai Baiyunxing heard this and was shocked, overjoyed, and suspicious.